everyone. I always start my makeup with a clean face. I'm going to go ahead and start brushing my brows in an upward motion to get the hairs in place and out of my way. You want to go ahead and follow what I'm doing in this step. I just inserted a clip for you guys so you can see the end results. For this next step, you want to use a concealer that's about 1 to 2 shades lighter than your skin tone. Even if you do have a fresh wax, I still would recommend you using just a little bit. You don't have to use as much as I did, but you want to use a little bit on there. It just will make everything look more smooth, more flawless, more pretty. You also can use this as a base for your eyeshadow. So as I'm blending everything, I'm doing it very lightly. I don't want to get all the product that I just put on my skin on the makeup brush because that just defeats the purpose. So that's why you want to do it a little bit lightly when you're blending. And you see I'm kind of bringing it on my entire lid. So that helps with eyeshadow application. So when you're using any type of eyeshadow, you never want to just go straight in with eyeshadow. You always want to use some type of concealer and then set that concealer with some type of powder to make the eyeshadow colors pop, to make them brighter, and to avoid any type of creasing. And even if I don't do eyeshadow, I still put concealer on my entire lid. I like my lids to be brighter. I have some dark pigmentation on my lid. So I want to use the concealer to hide all of those blemishes. For this next step, I'm going in with the full coverage foundation. It's going to hide more blemishes on my entire face. So any dark spots that I have on my face, I have a little bit of a line on my nose. So I use the foundation to cover that up. I want to mention to you all, when it comes to foundation, you want to get a foundation that's your actual skin complexion. Foundation is supposed to act as skin. It's not supposed to be too light or too dark. You want it to look just like your natural skin, but just a flawless version where you can't see any type of blemishes on your skin at all. If you apply the foundation on your face the same way I'm doing it, it will give you that natural look. Next, I'm going to be using a beauty blender. So you want to make sure your beauty blender is damp. You don't want it to be dry, and you also don't want it to be soaking wet. You just want to put it under the water and then just wring it out maybe once or twice, and then go ahead and blend that foundation into your skin. And remember, don't do it too hard because that would just defeat the purpose of putting the foundation there in the first place. You want to have some foundation on your face. If you do it too hard, it's going to get all on the beauty blender. It's not going to give you that smooth finish that we're looking for. I typically don't have to do this step, but for some reason I don't think I used enough foundation, so it was a little dry on my skin. So that's why I went ahead and used some more. I don't want it to look dry. Again, we want this to look like skin, and we want it to look really smooth and flawless. So I just added a little bit more. This next step of doing my makeup is one of my favorite steps. Now, I go all in with my concealer underneath my eye and on the bridge of my nose, but you can use a little bit. You don't have to use as much as I did, but I do enjoy making my face appear bigger than what it is, and that's what the concealer does. It also makes that under eye extremely bright, which I love that look for me. But if you want something a little bit natural looking, then just use less. And remember, I gotta reinforce it for y'all. Don't do it so hard when you're blending. It may seem like I'm doing it hard because this video is sped up a little bit, but trust me, I'm doing it lightly as I possibly can. But I'm also doing it in a a steady motion so that I am blending it, right? But you just want to make sure that you leave some of that product on your face, because it will all get on whatever tool you're using to blend it. It will get all on that tool if you do it too hard, and then it's like, oh, we just put that product there and it don't even look like, I'm getting that flawless look. And it's like, well, if you're still seeing your natural skin, that means you're doing it too hard. Now it's time to go ahead and set that concealer with some powder. So anytime you use liquid concealer, you always want to go in with the powder. If you don't use a powder, then your face will sweat, it will crease up, it will be really greasy, and you want to avoid that. Remember, we're going for a very natural, very smooth look here. So you always want to set that liquid with a powder, and that's going to give you a more solid base. You see, nice and smooth. So go ahead and make sure you put that powder on the other side and take your time. With these brushes, when you're using the powder, you want to make sure that your brushes are dry 100%. You don't want it to be wet at all when you're using powder to set the concealer or foundation that you put on your face. And you may be wondering, why didn't you set your foundation? Well, because I was going to go in with some more liquid after foundation, which was my concealer. And then I was going to set that concealer with this powder. And so I'm going to, in the next step, you will see I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to set that foundation from earlier, the parts that I did not conceal. I'm going to go ahead and use my MAC Darkest Deepest to go ahead and set that foundation on the bottom half of my face. I'm also going to put some of that on my neck as well. And it's going to give me that smooth, finished, flawless, pretty. Everything is set in place. Now for this contour, you want to use 2 to 3 shades darker than your skin complexion. For contour, everything will appear smaller. So you're going to see me using the contour right underneath my cheekbones to give it that defined look. And then I'm also going to put some on my nose to make it look like I have a real skinny nose. And, you know, just kind of tone some of that concealer that I put down earlier. And when you blend your nose, you want to go a little bit heavier. You don't want these lines to be harsh at all. Now, when it's time to put on your blush, go ahead and smile because you a happy girl and you halfway finished to getting your face nice and pretty on a budget. A lot of these products you can find in your local drugstore or online. You really want to smile at this part because that's really where you want your blush to be, right on your cheekbones. The next step after this is going to be highlight. And so I don't use any other highlight but my Fenty Beauty, the Trophy Wife. I love this highlighter. I've been using it since I think it came out. I don't use anything else. And I just put it right where I just put that blush, just a little bit higher than that blush. I put it on my nose, on my lips, on my whole entire chest. A lot of times when you're using a lot of powder, it can make you look dry. That's why it's important to go in with a pretty blush and then a pretty highlighter so that you can have that pretty glow. I definitely exaggerate when I say my whole chest, but yeah, I love this product, so I definitely be using it a lot. I just love to look glowy and like I'm glistening. Now the eyes. So you want to go ahead. I'm using a jet black eyeliner, but you obviously can use any kind of eyeliner you prefer for any look that you're doing, whether that's a white eyeliner or a different color you want to use. But for me, I love a cat eye. I like my eyes to look really sultry, so I always want to look sexy in my eyes. So I always go in with jet black. And I'm putting it right there on that waterline. I kind of press a little hard on my waterline. I want my eyes to look really dark. I just feel like it makes my eyes look sexy. And so next I'm going to go ahead and carve out my lips. So I'm just tracing my natural lip line. But you could obviously, if you want your lips to look a little bit bigger, you can kind of go over the lip line and then, you know, just kind of rub your lips together to blend that out so it don't look too harsh. Ruby Woo, my favorite lip from MAC. I feel like I've been using Ruby Woo for like 10 years at this point. I just love the red lip. I feel like I don't even have any more lipstick at this point. I just love this red lip. I feel like it just does what it needs to do for my face. Like, it just makes my teeth look so pretty. I just love it. And then I always put a little gloss. I like my lips to be glossy. I don't like to look dry. But, you know, obviously you can use whatever lipstick that you prefer and lip gloss you prefer. Now, when it's time to apply your mascara, make sure you take your time because we didn't just sit there and do our pretty face for nothing. But if you do happen to mess up on this part, you would just go back in with some type of concealer and use a little bit of concealer to just put it over whatever you messed up and then blend that concealer out, and then it'll be, you know, back to normal. But just take your time to avoid that because it will just be like a blower for you. It's happened to me before, and it may happen to you at some point, but don't worry. Like, maybe one day I'll show you guys how to fix it. I'll mess it up on purpose to show you how to fix it. But just take your time with this part. And obviously, you know, mascara is to make your lashes look longer. But I'm going to go in with some mink lashes after this, because I need my lashes to be popping. I can't just go based on mascara. But if you are one of those natural girlies, then, you know, you could just end it at this point. You don't have to put no false lashes attachments on your eye. You can just use a good mascara, and it's going to make your lashes look long. So after this, we're going to go ahead and do our cat eye. Again, you want to take your time because we just sat there, did our face all pretty, so we don't want to mess it up. And just follow what I'm doing in this step if you want to get your wings like mine. It's not really easy to explain it. You just have to do exactly what I'm doing, and use the products that I'm using, and then you're going to obviously get the same results as me. These Ming lashes was so thick. Oh my goodness. So when you put your lashes on, if you use some tweezers, the main thing for this part that I want to tell y'all is to just make sure when you put the lash glue on the lash, you want to give it some time to dry. So when you put the lash on your eye using the tweezers, you want it to stick immediately. Like, you don't want the glue to be too wet because then it's going to be sliding everywhere. So just make sure you take your time to make sure that it dries. I hope you all enjoyed this free makeup lesson, and I'll see you in the next one.